Alright guys, we're back on. Sorry, there was a bad technological glitch. Okay, so let's catch up on the chat a little bit. So I'm hearing you have to be very well prepared or not to play into book. Well, it depends on if the line is sharp or not, right? The sharper the line is, the more you have to be prepared. At what level does it start to matter? I mean, yeah, again, it depends. I think depends on what kind of openings you play, right? I think if you're playing sharp lines, I think even at 1200 it might start to matter a little bit. But if you're playing simple positions, and even if you're a master, you could just play based on feel. Thought about learning lighter, but saw Gary's chessable course was over 24. Well, you can actually always get a short and sweet on the Nighter if you're an amateur player. If you're not going to be able to memorize a lot of lines, you can always get short and sweet for free for any chessable course, not just Geary. Okay, anyway, let's take a look at, okay, this one is still frozen. Okay, this one, you know, they played some moves, nothing that's happened. Kind of normal position, looks like Zachary prepared well and equalized. Okay, this one, yeah, this was where we were left off. And I was thinking maybe knight e7, try to go knight g6. But okay, bishop c5 is pretty good too, so... yeah, gives up the e5 square, I don't know. Feels like black's fine. Yeah, no problem, Alvin Chess. Feel free to swamp me with questions, that's totally fine. That's what I'm here for. I'll try to balance between answer your questions and focusing on the games. Okay, so here we have rook f6. I kind of like that move. I mean, you're trying to maybe go queen e6 to try to trade queens. I think the engine was maybe saying it's a little bit more accurate to go queen f5, gaining a tempo on the knight, and then go queen f7. But okay, rook f6 is reasonable and should still probably be close to equal. I just tuned in. Did you say much about Jurabek's game against the defending champion? No, not that much. I think the defending champion, Zachary Tannenbaum, he knows the... yeah, so that's probably a revenge game partially for Jurabek, right? Because Jurabek last year, you know, Zachary overtook him, right? So he probably kind of wants to win. Yeah, not much is happening in this position. Looks like a normal opening for black. So nothing that much happening. Okay, so here white is trying to hold on to the pawn, but I guess you can go knight e7, knight g6 and try to chase away the bishop, attack it, and then put pressure on the pawn. Okay, so let's see Nick. Okay, so he played bishop e6. So he wants to play knight e7, knight g6 next, and just preventing any kind of e5s. Okay, Evan Rosenberg, right, let's see what happened. Okay, so Evan played e4, which I guess it tactically somewhat works. He wants to maybe meet this with this. Even this engine says maybe it's playable, piece for 3 pawns. Maybe it's good for black. But Arena did something more practical. I like it more. Just go bishop g4, trade these guys. Bishop for knight, and then go knight d4. I don't know why this thing keeps popping up. Yeah, and then black is sort of okay. Probably black is a little bit better. So I think black's very happy here. Arena did spend 9 minutes calculating it, but of course you cannot take with the bishop because knight f6. So it's either knight takes and then go for this mess after g4. By the way, maybe you don't have to even go g4. There are other moves, but I have a feeling that probably both players planned g4. Anyway, so Arena, I think practically speaking correctly went bishop g4, because when you're better, when you're doing well, there's no reason to go for messy complications, which aren't clear. All right, here Johnson knight d7, knight d2, and here Brewington has his first think. First think, he probably was in his prep up to here, and now he's trying to figure out what plan he should choose. And I have to say I like White's position. I mean, White may be a tiny bit better. I think both players are kind of happy with the opening outcome. White is, you know, tiny bit better. Black has a very solid position as well. Could try to outplay his opponent. All right, so Liam Putnam, there were some moves made. So Liam just puts the rook on good squares. Black goes there. You know, white is tiny bit better, but black's close to being fine. So again, for a good blitz player, it's like a very standard way of playing, right? Like these are the kinds of moves you would play in a blitz game as well. And as you already know, Liam is a very good blitz player. It's like 2,900 on chess.com, so a very good blitz player. Plays against Hikaru and all these other guys all the time. And here we have knight b5. Okay, so queen knight c5. Okay, so here I probably would just go f3, but Raja played there. Takes, takes, takes. Bishop a3. Yeah, and I guess now white is almost winning because I don't know why this thing always pops up. It's a bit annoying. But alright, knight c7 is coming up. Also, f3 is an idea. Yeah, I mean, white's really dominating here, right? I mean, well, actually, the line that the engine gives is like kind of hopeless because f3, a6, knight here, I guess. The knight just gets trapped. So, I mean, I guess you could try to... Oh, you actually have this crazy counterplay, but you're still going to be down a piece. But I guess the knight on c8 is a bit strange. But yeah, it's very hard to find, and even still, white's much better. So yeah, definitely looks like white is just completely winning, but somehow the engine always does its magic and Houdini act and finds a way to like continue the game. But obviously, I think in a practical game, this is more or less lost, especially given the levels of the players. Do you think there'll ever be anyone who wins the Classical World Championship that is under the 21 years of age? Yeah, very good question. I don't know, and then time will tell. There is, I mean, maybe our American Abhimanyu Mishra does it. He's 14 years old now and 26 something plus. I guess Ferrugia, it's too late for him to do it now. Hans Niemann, it's a bit too late for him as well. Although maybe he will become world champion someday because he's a very hard worker and has a very big upside. Yeah, I don't know. There's also these other young kids coming up. Like there's a 10-year-old Faustino Oro who plays like online a lot, and he's like 2350 FIDE or maybe even higher at this point. He's trying to break these new records. So there's always these prodigies, but we'll see if any of them will actually fight for the world championship. I mean, that remains to be seen. But actually, now that Magnus is not there, it makes things easier. Oh yeah, Gukesh. Yes, Gukesh just has to win the London Chess Classic and make the candidates first. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, Gukesh maybe has some chances, although, yeah, it's going to be a bit hard for him to win the London Classic. I mean, yeah, it was like basically the loss to Jules was so hurtful. I mean, he was winning and he lost, and then Jules himself lost to Adams from a winning position. It was just insane, you know, what happened. And now Gukesh is half point behind. Like, he could have already been ahead or maybe... And now he didn't win against the kid, Shreyas Royals, so it will be... Yeah, it's a little bit heartbreaker, right, for Gukesh. He might not... Well, we'll see it. Time will... Maybe he'll still come back. He he's half point behind Adams. Okay, so let's see what happened. Bishop a3, king d8. f6, knight d4. Yeah, now the knight, if the knight goes, then h4, right? So I guess you could try e5. Yeah, you could try e5 and then this. And you're sort of surviving for now, but the position is still extremely ugly, of course. But I guess not losing immediately. Oh, hi, trainer M. Okay, got it. Okay, that's fine. I see the lead chess chat also, so it's fine. Okay, so white eventually did go for e4, like I kind of was saying all along. Knight f6. Yeah, and then he doesn't want to trade because bishop takes f6. Threatening bishop takes d4 will be annoying to deal with. You have to play this, which makes your bishop bad, weakens this d5 square. makes the d4 pawn backward. So that's why white correctly played knight d2 and Leaf played a5. Yeah, so it's a very solid position for both sides, but yeah, it's all good. How important was solving calculation exercise for you in achieving GM and beyond? Yeah, I have to admit I'm a very lazy player. I'm someone who relies a lot on my feel. I can't say I had to work extremely hard to become a GM. I mean, tactics were very important. Like, let's say basic tactics, pattern recognition. I really nailed that in the very beginning when I was a beginner. I also played a lot of tournaments, and my coach taught me openings. So, you know, when I became a GM, my openings improved a lot compared to when I was not a GM. And also, you know, he taught me like lots of strategical ideas at that time. But calculation, I can't say I ever like worked extremely hard on it. Like, I'm not Sam. That's why I did not become as good as, let's say, Sam Shankland, who really worked on his calculation insanely hard, or maybe Ray Robson, right? My calculation was never my cup of tea, and that's why I kind of fell off the radar. I wasn't able to even get to 2700 FIDE, and then I got to 2650, but then I fell off quickly. Just, I mean, my visualization and calculation is definitely lacking. I definitely can't say I've trained that area enough. And that's probably what prevented me from reaching the very, very top. Okay. But I think for most people, you know, calculation training is very important. But I would say that of all the areas that I've worked on when I became GM, that's probably the area I've probably trained the least. So just being honest with you guys. Serge Adelson blundered against Raja Harshit. Well, let's see what happened here. Oh, well, okay, but it's not really a blunder, right? He was already kind of losing. But yeah, he should have at least tried e5. He should have tried e5. He would have not lost then. Position is very bad, but he would have not lost the piece. But instead, now he gets knight trapped and he's losing a piece, and yeah, he's just completely losing. You can be 20 feet. I want you to gain 100 points. Yeah, the thing is, it's easier said than done. There's been a rating deflation, although now I think it will change with these new FIDE rules that they implemented to make the floor lower. But also it's complicated for me because I don't have as much time on the weekends to play because of my working schedule. Like I work much more with kids, so I don't have as much time to play chess. Yeah, it's a fake Sicilian Khan, exactly, yeah. Yeah, like I was talking about it earlier, yeah, like it was supposed to be knight c6, knight c3, queen c7, but for some reason black played this and then queen c7, and then just confused his move order, I guess. So maybe Serge was just learning the opening recently, I don't know, and trying to play the Khan for the first time, or Taimanov, and just didn't work out. Yeah, they're giving everybody free rating except for Alex. Well, it's fine because basically once the players below 2000 get higher ratings, then those players will take less rating from the masters, and then the masters will be higher rated, and then I'll be higher rated. That's how it works. It doesn't, but I don't think it's gonna change my rating that dramatically. It's ultimately, I can't put too much blame to my low rating just on that. It's just my weak chess, my weak calculation, not being up to date on openings, not being motivated, and all my weaknesses, my laziness. I don't want to make excuses for rating deflation for my own struggles. Do you think so many super GM making chessable and chess-based opening courses now have a wave the lead future phone down? Oh, that's an interesting question. Let's read it again. Do you think so many super GMs making chessable and chess-based opening courses now may be a way for them to try to lead their future opponents down a bumpy road rather than a way to earn some extra income? Ah, man, that's a very good question. I don't know. I feel like most players are honest guys. I mean, I don't think people will actually try to sell something bad on purpose. Having said that, realistically speaking, let's say you're doing a course on the white side of something, right? Realistically, chess is a draw. Like you can't really be, if black plays perfectly, you can't be better. So very often what will happen is, the top GMs, they will kind of like show some ideas but they might not show always all the best lines for black. Let's say if they're doing a white course, right? Just because, if something is really, really unpleasant, then the course will sell less. So there might be something like that, which is one of the reasons why I didn't end up wanting to make a chessable course. I think doing an opening course is always tricky in that sense, because you have to sort of sell something, and I don't know, I'm just not a big marketing guy, honestly speaking. So it's like a little tricky how to like sell something. Earn a little bit extra money. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine like the top players needing money so much. I think it's just, I don't know. Like I think Wesley did his courses during the pandemic when there was nothing else to do besides playing online and the courses. So yeah, I'm not really sure. It's a good question. Trickle up economy then. Are you gonna retire from chess? You're a late bloomer. I want you to play in big opens. Well, thank you for being my supporter, and I'll see what I can do. I just don't like to miss work. I don't like to miss work in order to play tournaments. And nowadays, in order for me to play tournaments, most tournaments, especially big tournaments, I have to miss work. And I just don't really want to do that. Because I feel like I'm teaching kids and I don't want to deprive the opportunity to learn from me over my own personal interest. Especially when my chances of winning is quite low now with like the stiff competitions. But we'll see. Maybe I'll play some tournaments. Maybe if there's going to be an opportunity, I'll try to play here and there. I still play some smaller tournaments when I have a chance. It's hard to believe that Kasparov, Karpov would have been making opening course back then. But yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, they were very secretive. But these days, the thing is like information spreads like wildfire anyway, right? So if you don't make something, someone else will make. And these top engines, everything just spreads so quickly that it really doesn't even matter, right, in the end of the day. Well, you're not seeing Magnus putting this world champion prep into a chessable court. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Magnus is not. Yeah, well, Magnus is a different type of. Everyone's just different. Not everyone's meant to do a chessable. Doing a chessable course is a very hard work, actually. I've tried doing it. I failed. Like I quit after a short while. For me, it was just too overwhelming, and couldn't do it. So I gave up on the project. So didn't really. Shanklin went to Augur to improve his calculation and he won the US championship. Yeah, but he was working on his calculations in something like 2013, 2014. Basically, in around 2009 to 2012, me and Shanklin were like roughly same level, but then he started surpassing me after that. Once he started really trading his calculation, he was like working like a dog, and I was always a little bit on the lazier side, especially when things didn't go well. I would be like, oh, I want to go coaching, I want to like do something easier. I was in that sense, yeah, I was always the kind of person who would choose the easier route, whereas Shanklin like really kept going and he was willing to go that extra mile and do the really unpleasant work, and so he got what he deserved. I came close a few times to winning the US championship, but I guess I was not worthy enough. I didn't get those key lucky breaks, and probably because I lacked certain things. Chessable is interesting. Don't like it, believe it or believe all of them. Well, true, you can't believe everything 100%, but you should. But it's definitely a very helpful tool. Yeah, and definitely that's one of the reasons my rating is lower too. Everybody else got much better, right? Like everybody else studies chessable. Especially with black, it's gotten very hard to win games these days because you have to take risks and then you have to get out of your comfort zone, play not your positions. And if you play your positions, they'll also be very comfortable. They're prepared for you, and they will. It's kind of not easy. What is the hardest thing? Shanklin's maybe the hardest working chess players in the world. Well, I don't necessarily think so. I mean, I think a lot of top players are very, like even in the US, I think there are a lot of really hard-working chess players. I think Mishra is very hard-working. Like I've listened to his interviews, he works like 12 hours a day. Let's see who else. Hans Niemann. Hans Niemann, I think, is a very hard-working player from what he says. I mean, I sort of believe him. I don't think he would lie about that. and you could see with his big results, right? Like going for 2450 to 2650, 2700 level in like 2 years, right? And also, of course, the top players, they're very hardworking. Yeah, the top players are very hardworking, such as Lenier Dominguez, Fabiano Caruana, very hardworking, and so on and so forth. But speaking of hardworking players, we have a very hardworking player guest joining us here who won a, pretty quick game here. So we're here with our first big winner, Roger.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. Welcome
course.
to the show.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And tell me a little bit about your game. What do you think about the game? I know there's not much in it, but
I mean, I think the funny story was before the game because I my flight was at 6 a.m. So I started my journey at 3 a.m. from St. Louis. So I was sleepless, but I was surprised because on the fourth move when you went knight f6, knight e3, the thing is that now you cannot go a6 because I have e5.
yes.
Oh,
Mouse again. Sorry,
it's all
we
fine.
have a technical glitch.
Oh no, it's all good.
We've already had like a third technical glitch.
Oh yeah, it happens in this streaming.
I was actually gonna ask you what inspired you to come and play this tournament. I noticed like Mikhail Antipov was also gonna play, but he withdrew.
Yeah, so so a few players from the Mizu chess team were thinking of to play something because it's finals week and no one wants to study school. So we're like, let's play some tournament. So I just wanted to play something, and I had finals yesterday, so I took a first round bye.
Oh, okay.
And
is it okay if I ask about that at the interview? About